there, my good friends. I've got a good one today for you, and this is one of those jobs that is good information for you guys, because there's a lot of people that don't know how EFI works, air fuel ratio, how does a computer determine to take fuel away, give it, blah blah blah. So I got a Hyundai Santa Fe here, V6. Engine light's been on for a while. It's been to the dealer for a couple of things, and they said it's got a bad motor basically. So I don't like hearing this without facts. I'm a fact person. We spend too much time throwing crap in cars and trucks and earth moving equipment these days without the facts. And why? What's the reason for it? Alright, so anyway, so I wanted to show you with the scan tool, I've got it hooked up, what the fault codes are presented, and at the moment they're current. As soon as this engine's running at idle, these codes are present, okay, they're active. So I'll show you what they are in the scan tool, very common, especially on V6s. And also with all the new evaporative control systems, purge valves, carbon canisters, the emissions, like, yeah, all right, there's a lot to look at, and I think that's why people jump to conclusions. So let's change the engine out, because all the components on there will be new. She'll be right. That's 10 grand, thank you. All right, screw that. So I'm here to look after customers. Now, I'll show you now. I'm just going to turn the phone around, the camera. We'll go through it. I'll talk. I'm not going to do a big video on this because it's really not a lot, but it gives you a bit of an idea how the computer at idle. I'm going to talk about the idle circuit because that's when this problem is presented. How a computer gives extra fuel. When does it take it away? What's lean? What's rich? All right. So I'll turn it around. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Yes, I know, it's a lovely colour. That's okay, it's okay. It's doing its job. I don't want to scratch my scan tool, alright? Cost me a lot of dollars. Lots of dollars. Alright, so P2187 and 2189. Now, this is a V6, so it's interesting to know that the System 2 Leaner Idle Bank 1 and System 2 Leaner Idle Bank 2 are both present, active. It's happening right now, okay? So I know these codes. I'm not going to go and Google them and see what all that is. Basically, it means that the computer is seeing that for some reason the engine is getting too much air. It's a vacuum leak, basically, okay? So the reason, or the way that the computer tells this is it's because it's got to add in more fuel at idle, okay? And when I say adding in fuel at idle, that's what we call trimming. That's injector trimming, okay? Now, you might have heard a bit of clicking in the background. I'll just get a torch and I'm going to show you something, just because I know most engines have it. And when people hear an EFI engine run, they think, what's that clicking noise? What's that tapping? Well, sometimes it's injectors, but sometimes it's what we call the purge valve. So, I'll try and get in the back here. So can you see? Can you see here on the end of my torch, right? See, I'm tapping on that little, it's like a little canister with a harness to it. It's a 3-pin plug, and then you'll see it's got a hose, all right? And that goes to the tank, and the other end of this little electronic controlled valve is a hose to the bottom of the intake manifold. Okay. So the way that a purge valve works is when the fuel vapors start building up in the tank, it creates a pressure, all right, especially in the hotter days. So the emissions over the years, the people in politics and all the engineers and everything said, right, we don't want those fumes outside the car because basically they are dangerous to the people around, and it could be a fire hazard. Absolutely, totally agree with that. All right, so what happens is that little purge valve, right, when the engine's idling, okay, what happens is the vapor gets collected into the carbon canister, which is generally just next to the tank, and then what happens is the computer sends power to that little purge valve, opens the valve up, right, and it basically pulses it, right? It's on a pulse, okay, but it's on and off switch. And what happens is the engine then, because it runs a vacuum in the intake, it draws the vapor from that carbon canister near the tank and into the engine. Okay, so that's how it gets rid of fuel vapors. Okay, so what's that? That's what that ticking, here it goes. Can you hear it? Sounds like a little mouse tapping on the window. All right, so that's what that is. Anyway, I'm not going to go any more on that, okay, but that's what that is. All right, back to this. So what we're going to have to do now, I need to see what the fuel trim data actually is. So let's just come out, get some light on the subject here. No, it's pretty bloody dark, isn't it? Oh, gosh, hang on a minute. Oh, you can see my head. That's bad. That's bad. Hang on. Alright, so there we go, that's better. Went into dark mode, sleep mode. Alright, so let's exit out of there and let's go to, we need to read system data. Alright, so we want to see the live inputs from sensors. Come on, here we go. So I'm going to go through and find them. So we want to see the purge valve, because I want to see what that's doing, because there might be a manifold leak, quite common. Purge valve, come on guys, help me out here, where is it? Where is a purge valve? Shouldn't be under anything else. Short term, oh yeah, well I want that. Yeah, short term field, okay, so that's, yep, number 4, that's good. Gosh, and rolling. Purge valve, yeah, purge valve. And we want long and short term trimmer, which I did select before to make sure we had it. So just to double check it, long term fuel trim bank 2, and we want bank 1. Short term fuel trim bank 2, yep, and short term fuel trim, okay, we got them. So now let's go and look at that data. Alright, so canister purge control is on. It's on at the moment. I can hear that ticking. Alright, when it's not on, that will be 0. Okay, so let's worry about that later. Not interested. Now have a look at that. Long-term fuel trim bank 2 is 31.25%. That is huge. Look, that generally your fuel trimming should be between -10 and +10%. Okay, so what that's basically meaning, okay, so when the figure is in a positive, okay, it means the fuel injectors are putting more fuel in. It's positive, okay, so it's seeing that there's more air in the system via either the MAF sensor and the oxygen sensor. So it's like, shit, there's more air coming into this engine. Well, we don't want it lean. We need to put more fuel in. Otherwise, we're going to have a lean burn, potentially burn the valves and do all sorts of stuff. But I won't go into engine damage. That's another day, okay? Now, if these values were minus, all right, it means the fuel injectors are being pulled back, okay? So it means that there's too much air. Sorry, not enough air, okay? So it doesn't need as much fuel. Because remember, 1 stoichd is around 14.7. All right, that's the air fuel ratio for 1 perfect burn of air and fuel. Okay, so we can see here that the short-term bank, all right, so that's left-hand head, and bank 2 is obviously the right-hand head, V6. So we are far past 10%. Ideally, you sort of at it idle with a very good engine system. Everything that's in good working order shouldn't really be any more than between 3 and 8. Okay, so if we look at the graphs, we would see that the long term, which is what the computer is averaging, how much extra fuel has gone into the engine via the injectors to compensate for that extra air being noticed on the intake. Okay. Whereas these ones are live, they're at this present time and moment, all right? But obviously there's a lot of data we don't see because the computer's not showing it so quickly on the screen, okay? But that's what that average is there, okay? So that's why they call it the long-term trim bank, okay? So obviously a bank left and right's going to be the same, okay? Plus or minus a few percent, alrighty? So if we have a look at the graph, there's not really much I can show you with the graph except for the canister purge is either going to be on or off, and maybe a little bit more of percent, as in how long it stays on for. But we can see that's nice and steady. Don't care about that, okay, at the moment. Long-term fuel, well, look at that, 31.25%, which is pretty average. That's a lot of compensation. And look at this, guys, look, it's all over the joint, okay? That's quite erratic. For me, that's quite erratic. All right, purge valve's just turned off. Look at that. See how it's just shown that on the graph? It's come down, it's off. Can't hear it ticking now. No ticking. All right, back to the graph. There it goes, come back on again. Look at the graph, there you go. Oh, shit. What have I done there? Oopsie. Oh, I screwed that up. Hang on, let's go back. What have I done there? There we go. All right. So now you can see the purge valve has come back on again. See how the line comes up and now it's stable. It's staying on. Yeah. Look, fuel injectors usually sort of add a little bit, but not that much. Like, it's been quite reactive to whatever it's seeing as to the intake of extra air. So look, I need to start with the basics here. Anywhere where there is a vacuum line, we need to look at clamps. Anything on the intake side to the engine, right? If there is a leak or a cracked vacuum line, anything, it's going to run that lean, okay? The MAP sensor, oxygen sensor is going to see that extra air coming in, and then obviously it's going to put more fuel in via the injector, more fuel in, okay? To compensate and keep that air-fuel ratio at where it should be, which is predetermined. Like I said, it's going to be any more than 13. Between 13 and 15 idle is great. That's close to one stoip. Anything past 17, you're getting leaner. Anything below 13, you're getting richer, okay? And that's when it blows black smoke and, you know, fouls plugs and all that. Shit. So what I'll do is I'm going to check all the clamps, check the vacuum hose. What you can do is actually get some long nose pliers and clamp each line as you go, and watch that trimmer value move. If that trimmer value comes down, you've found a vacuum leak, right? So look, this car's done 360,000 Ks. The rubber, the seals, the plastics have been exposed to heat, cold for many years, for a long time. It's fatiguing, plastic breaks, rubber goes brittle, cracks, all right? We just got to find out where the problem is, all right? So there's a good insight for you, okay? Fuel trimming, remember, positive values means it's putting more fuel in. Less value means it's taking fuel out, okay? If it's taking fuel out, there's not enough air. If it's putting more fuel in, it's getting too much air, okay? So any questions, give me a buzz. You know the drill. I'm not going to go on about it, but there you go. Another little tech tip for the day. I love yous all. See you around.